If you're going to watch any part of this video, let it be the beginning. I believe in setting up as clear as communication as possible, so therefore all of my videos will now start with me telling you exactly what I'm going to talk about through the video. That way, if you decide you don't want to watch it, then it was nice to talk to you. If you decide you want to watch the entire thing, you can, or if you want to check out the timestamps that I put in the video, feel free to explore section by section, whatever you'd like. So with that being said, today we're talking about a game that has absolutely taken over my time and attention in Marvel Rivals. And at the time of recording this video, I probably have about 250 hours in the game, and to say that I'm addicted would be an understatement. Whenever I'm recording gameplay footage for any other game and somebody texts me saying, "Would you like to play Rivals?" I'm immediately hopping over. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the various game design elements that would be great for you to understand while I'm talking about my analysis of the game. And then I'm going to go into what makes the gameplay so addicting and what lessons studios can take away from this game when building their own. But first, if you watch my Exoborn video, you know that my goal isn't just to critique games. I want to become a beacon of hope for the gaming world. A world that often feels like it's being held hostage by corporate interests who would sell you out for a single extra dollar. My goal is to critically talk about the games that I play because I want to earn your trust so that one day when studios are making games, they'll come to me because they understand that I know you. And if one day, if I get large enough, and then one day you might entrust me to make the games that you truly want to play as well. But every so often a game comes out that doesn't just deserve critique, it deserves praise. It deserves a love letter. So this is my love letter to Marvel Rivals. First, let's dive into those game design terms that I was talking about. Engagement is the core of game design. It examines how a game systems, via its rules and mechanics, provide meaningful challenges and opportunities for the players to act. A well-designed game doesn't just keep the players occupied, it ensures that their interaction with the game world is fulfilling. And at its foundation, engagement achieves two things. First, it determines the state of play by comparing the skill level required to complete a challenge versus the player's actual skill level. And then second, it fulfills certain innate human needs through gameplay for the player. For the balance of the challenge that the gameplay provides against what the player's skill level is, most games seek for a high level of player skill and a high level of challenge that the game can provide because this induces a state called flow, which is typically where you're absorbed in the task at hand, everything just disappears from the background, and you kind of lose track of time, which I feel like if you describe most games that you probably love, you're probably in a flow state. Don't think of the flow state as the only state of play, though. Think of if you were to play a game with a friend that you've played for years and they're just starting out. You both create new characters, and right now at the beginning of the game, you have a high level of skill, but the game only requires a low level of skill, more likely producing a relaxing state of play. The second aspect of engagement that I talked about was fulfilling the player's innate needs. I want to make sure that you listen up to this because this might help you in more ways of your life than just being able to articulate game design. I learned this from American psychologist Marshall Rosenberg, who said, "There are no such thing as positive or negative emotions, just emotions we feel when our needs are met and emotions we feel when our needs are not met." That means if we think about this critically, when a game is created, it should focus on fulfilling a few core needs for their players. And then the players that actually want those needs fulfilled will form the player base, and they will continue to play that game until the needs are no longer being fulfilled by the game or something else comes along that fulfills more of their needs in line with what they would like fulfilled. The other two game design elements we'll be looking at are immersion and presence. Immersion examines to the extent of which the game's control scheme lets you become the character through intuitive and responsive action. Presence evaluates how convincingly the game world feels alive and real, and making you believe you're in the environment you're interacting with. These are the three key terms that I think you should know about when I'm talking about my analysis and my love for the game. The thing to know about this game is that every character feels powerful. This could mean that fights between teams are an insane back and forth flurry of players trying to make key plays, the other team responding, both teams throwing ultimates back and forth until one team has been wiped. Looking at this from the terms I introduced to you, for engagement, the game keeps that flow state in place by matching you up against players that are your rank, and with each character feeling powerful, you feel like you're impacting each fight. As for the core needs, the game is definitely trying to fulfill the need of competition as its primary need. I couldn't imagine anybody giving this game more than an hour or two if they aren't competitive in nature. However, it doesn't stop there. There are a slew of needs that seeing your best play in a game can fulfill, and most of which are fulfilled by each person having their play of the game being replayable at the end of the game. And of course, there are other needs that can be fulfilled through other aspects of the gameplay. For instance, being able to select skins that you might really like is a form of self-expression, and so on. Now, this game, it nails immersion. Each character feels like they have their own unique identity. And I mean, this is because there are some of the most well-known superheroes and villains, but also their kits fit them so well that you feel like you are becoming that character when you play them. Not only are the kits extremely well designed, but once you've learned one character, it's extremely easy to start learning other ones because the control schemes are all very similar. Left click's your primary fire, WASD movement, right click is any ability that you would use the most, shift is any movement-based ability, and E is any ability left over. Well, I guess in Q being your ultimate ability. Because of how easy the combat system is and how easy it is to learn new characters, I've found that this game avoids a pitfall that I've seen kill a lot of other games in accessibility versus mastery. You see, in a competitive game like this, you want to be able to master the game. You want to be able to master the combat system. You want to be able to be competitive and have an edge over the other players, and that's simply by being better. That's what competition is about. But on the other side of that, you need something accessible to allow players to get in. You see, like League of Legends right now, I would say don't play it because it has 170 characters. The game is like 3D chess. If you are new to that game, the accessibility, the buy-in that you have to be able to put into the game to be able to truly have any mastery over it is so much. But in this game, you can hop in. It has a practice mode, a practice range, Doom practice, which allows you to 1v1 against other people to learn the character. And then from there, you can just put playtime into it. And learn it along the way. It is not hard, but it is super great to master, I'd say. Now, from my definition of presence earlier, you might have thought that the 2D nature of the art style might lend itself to lack presence, but I would actually say the exact opposite. If you take abilities like Punisher's Turret, for example, he seemingly pulls it out of nowhere, but if it had a realistic art style, you would probably question that a lot, but in a 2D nature where it's kind of placed by two rules, it doesn't matter. You don't have to question anymore. By choosing a 2D art style, you get to suspend your disbelief of the world a little bit more so that abilities like that you don't have to question. I think that's a great stylistic choice. Not only does the game nail immersion and presence separately, but it also nails the interplay of the two by using mechanics as simple as voice lines. You see, every ultimate ability has a voice line associated with it, and after you play the game for a couple hours, you can learn, after a voice line is said, how soon is the ability being used, and then you know how strong the ability is, and because of spatial audio, you know where that ability is being used. So through sound, via presence of the world, you are able to make intuitive control decisions via immersion. The interplay of the two is absolutely incredible. Now, while I absolutely love the game, I have to say that I think it does all of the basics extremely well, dare I say perfect, but it doesn't do anything revolutionary. I think that this game really sets the groundwork for what could be the future of a lot of cool games. One of the last things I had to bring up in this video about the game that I absolutely love is that it sold me on something that I learned in a class a while back, which is Transmedia Storytelling, which is utilizing a story across a variety of mediums. So turning a comic book into movies, or turning a comic book or movie characters into game characters. And a lot of the times I don't like adaptations, but in this case, for an arcade style game, I found that simply taking comic book characters like this so that when you get in the game, you're like, okay, I already have an idea of what they're going to do. And the characters are so recognizable, I don't have to learn new characters. It fit really well into being able to bring in gamers to understand cool core new character abilities very quickly. But then it also brought in comic book fans to try to play competitive games. It really blended the two well, and it was really tastefully done. Kudos to the design team over at Marvel Rivals. So in summary, if you're looking for a fun competitive games to either play solo or with friends, to rise up the ranks and to prove that you're better than everybody else with cool characters and amazing mechanics along the way, Marvel Rivals is your game. But if you're looking for what the future of games like this might look like, then make sure to watch my next video. Because when I was starting this YouTube channel, I made a long list of all the videos that I might want to make. And part of a series that I wanted to make was just making videos about games that I would want to make personally and why they would stand out to you as players. And so I had the idea of basically pitching what game I would make for DC if they wanted to make a game to rival Marvel Rivals. So if you want to see what that would look like, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.